The clash between traditional societies and communist states has continued for over a century. China's first two first ladies both remained loyal to their husbands and the ideas they represented. They both became political superwomen, but their endings were drastically different. The life stories of these two women best illustrate the difference between communism and the world that's against it. Hello, welcome to my show. I'm Lei. This is part one of a two-part series about China's first ladies and their politics. Madame Chiang was the most prominent first lady modern China ever had. Born Meiling Soong in 1898 to a wealthy missionary family in Shanghai, Meiling left China for the United States at age 10. She received her secondary education in Macon, Georgia, where her two sisters were attending college. She enrolled in Wellesley College in Massachusetts at age 15 and graduated in English literature. Wellesley honored her with the highest distinction and named her a Durant Scholar. After graduation, she returned to China at age 19. She met General Chiang Kai-shek at 24. Their differences were worlds apart. Meiling was a Western-educated, devout Christian. She once said, "The only thing Oriental about me is my face." General Chiang was a Buddhist and spoke no English, and he was married to a wife and two concubines. But this didn't prevent Chiang from pursuing Meiling. 5 years later, in 1917, after Chiang divorced his three wives and committed to convert to Christianity, they married in Shanghai when she was 29 and he was 40. The general was baptized 3 years later. The couple was on the cover of Time magazine in October 1931. Some people believe that their marriage was a political union of power and money. The Soongs were the most powerful family in China. Meiling's eldest sister, Eileen, married China's richest man and then finance minister, H. Kong. Her second sister, Qingling, married the founder of the Republic of China, Dr. Sun Yat-sen. Her three brothers were wealthy and held high positions in the government. Throughout his life, Chiang Kai-shek saw the communists as his foremost enemy. Meiling became his confidant, advisor, and secretary in their joint mission. She was also his translator and spokeswoman. Many say that Meiling Soong was a political leader in her own right. In 1934, she launched the New Life movement, a program that sought to halt the spread of communism by teaching traditional Chinese values. In November 1936, she became the secretary of the Chinese Aviation Committee. Her husband authorized her to build the Chinese Air Force. She used her diplomatic and English skills in procuring aircraft and hiring foreign advisors. Madame Chiang was called the mother of the Chinese Air Force. In 1936, Meiling rescued her husband from a coup d'etat when he was detained in Xi'an by a warlord. Against the advice of other politicians and risking her own life, she went to Xi'an and successfully persuaded the warlord to release her husband and surrender himself into their custody. In 1937, the couple again appeared on the cover of Time magazine as Man and Wife of the Year. During World War II, Madame Chiang made several trips to the United States to elicit support. She drew crowds as large as 30,000 and in 1943 made the cover of Time magazine for the third time. She became the first Chinese national and the second woman to ever address a joint session of the U.S. House and Senate, making a case for strong U.S. support of China in its war with Japan. She was included in America's 10 most admired women through the late 1960s.
As representatives of the American people, have before you the glorious opportunity of carrying on the pioneer work of your ancestors beyond the frontiers of physical and geographical limitations. You have today before you the immeasurably greater opportunity to implement these same ideals and to help bring about the liberation of man's spirit in every part of the world.
In May 1943, while she visited the United States, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill was visiting Washington, D.C. A meeting was arranged for the two. It was customary for a man to go meet a woman who is in a foreign country, but Churchill insisted that Madame Chiang came to Washington, D.C. to meet him. She turned Churchill down. Later in November that year, she accompanied Chiang Kai-shek to a trilateral summit meeting in Cairo between China, the United States, and the United Kingdom. Madame Chiang served as an interpreter, shuttling among the three world leaders. Churchill said to Roosevelt, "This Chinese woman is no weakling." With the help of its allies, China defeated the Japanese in 1945, but the Nationalist Party's rule was short-lived. After 4 years of communist revolution and civil war, Chiang Kai-shek and his wife fled to Taiwan in 1949. Mei Ling made several trips to the United States to lobby for the free world to understand that as long as the communists existed, Asia's security would not be guaranteed. We know her warnings were spot on. On May 29, 1981, her second sister, Soong died in China. The CCP invited her to Beijing to attend the funeral, but Madame Chiang saw through the CCP's intention to use the funeral as a publicity to promote unification. She declined the invitation and said, "Although kingship is endearing, our path is also important. We have to do things that are worthy of God, the country, the nation, our ideals, our forefathers, no matter what else." After her husband's death in 1975, Madame Chiang Kai-shek moved to New York and lived there until she passed away at the age of 106. China's other First Lady, who was also politically active around the same time, has a very different story. Madame Mao, the fourth wife of communist leader Mao Zedong, was born into a family of modest means in Shandong. Her father was a carpenter and her mother a maid. When she was 12, she was expelled from school for spitting on her teacher and started working at a tobacco factory. At age 15, she was admitted into a local theatrical school and began her career as an actress. She had scores of lovers, and one of them was a communist. Under his influence, she joined the Communist Party at age 19. Before marrying Mao, she had already married twice. Her first marriage lasted 2 months. Her second husband attempted suicide 3 months after the wedding, when she ran to her former communist lover. The husband attempted a second suicide a year later after discovering her affair with another married man. By that time, she was a movie star in Shanghai. After the movie company terminated her contract, and when Japan invaded China in 1937, she ran away to the communist headquarters in Yan'an. She changed her name to Jiangqing and looked for her next love affair. She ran into no other than Mao Zedong, who certainly couldn't resist a movie star from Shanghai. At the time, Mao was married to his third wife, He Zizhen, who had given birth to 6 children. Jiangqing's arrival meant the end of her marriage to Mao. A decade later, after the CCP seized power in 1949, Jiangqing became the Communist China's first lady and was put in charge of the movie industry. She spearheaded the initiative to develop revolutionary propaganda through performing arts. I made a video about that. You can watch it at the end. Madame Mao played a crucial role in helping Mao Zedong launch the Cultural Revolution in the mid-1960s. She was the first deputy head of the Central Cultural Revolution Work Group. She called on the Red Guards to defeat many political figures and persecuted many celebrities, scholars, artists, writers, including the then CCP Central Secretariat Deng Xiaoping. Madame Mao joined the CCP's Politburo in 1969 and was one of the most influential political figures in China during Mao Zedong's later years. She met President Nixon when he visited China in 1972. Madame Mao was Mao Zedong's die-hard loyalist. After Mao died, this got her into trouble and she became public enemy number 1 when Deng Xiaoping and other CCP elders seized power. They arrested her in 1976 and put her on public trial with her gang of 4. She was given a suspended death sentence. When defending herself at the public trial, she famously said that she was only a dog of Chairman Mao and would attack whoever Mao asked her to. She also accused Deng Xiaoping of hypocrisy by saying, "Everything I have done was once unanimously supported and participated in by you, Deng Xiaoping, and the vast majority of you on the stage. How do you explain your actions back then?" Her sentence was later reduced to life in prison. She ended her life in prison in 1991 by committing suicide. She was 77. Former U.S. President Richard Nixon commented on the differences between Madame Chiang and Madame Mao in his memoir. This may not be his exact words because I'm translating it back from Chinese. Madame Chiang was cultured, well-dressed, very feminine, but a strong person. Her wisdom, persuasiveness, and moral courage alone were enough to make her a leader. He described Madame Mao as humorless, completely devoid of feminine traits, and a model of an indistinguishable, fanatic woman who spoke in a disgustingly provocative manner. This is only part 1 of the series. Part 2 will be about the more recent First Ladies, including Madame Xi. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.